How's it? Hi on YouTube, Peter here, your Ginger Jody Geek. Welcome back to the channel for a bit of a different show tonight. And as ever, I am joined by my two best buds on YouTube. We have got James T. Keegan.
Heyo.
Heyo. Are you well, James?
I'm very good, man. I missed you. I feel like we haven't streamed in ages, particularly over the last couple of days.
Christ, at least 12 hours since we've seen each other, I suppose.
Something like that. Yeah. This is day 3 in a row. We're doing a little binge.
Yeah, we've been pining. And then we're on tomorrow night as well. And then potentially Tuesday. So, yeah, it's good stuff. We're also joined by our main man from San Diego, Efren. How are you, Efren?
What is going on, Comic Book Familia? I couldn't make it yesterday, but I told the guys previously that I was about 1 o'clock. I went on my time. I was in Temecula, which is wine country around here. I was watching the video, eating fish and chips and beer. So I was having a good time watching you guys. So,
and we're going to touch on that in a little bit, Efren, because you've tickled me talking about fish and chips. So remind us, and we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But guys, it is lovely to see you as ever. Really, really pleased for you to jump on tonight. We've got a bit of an interesting one. So basically, James went to a convention last week and messaged us earlier in the week and said he really wants to talk about it. And we're trying to figure out which show it kind of fits in with Saturday night, with Monday shows and all that kind of jazz. And we decided, why not just do a separate show where each of us can talk about our convention experiences. And then we'll also incorporate in something we've wanted to do for a little while, which is this kind of Ask Us Anything thing, where basically the power is in your hands. You guys in the chat can ask her to talk about whatever you want to talk about. A load of people have sent questions on Instagram, so I've got those written down, and we'll cover as many of them as we possibly can. And we're just going to have a bit of a... You know what I'm like? I like my slides. I like a bit of structure. So I have to say, guys, this terrifies me. This has got me scared a bit because
the point of this is we can just spur the moment. Let's do a show. Make it and Ask Us Anything. We can hop on. And prep.
We've got Fuzzy Dunlop in the chat.
All right. Yeah, exactly.
We've got Fuzzy Dunlop in the chat, and you're seeing, we'll talk about anything. Fuzzy's topics sometimes, and the questions he sends on This Is My, it's going to be an interesting one. So I'm looking forward to that. Right, guys, just going to quickly jump to the chat and see who we do have, and then we'll make a start. We have got, as ever, good old StreamYard.
Quack.
Thank you for joining. We've got Ian Carter. Thank you for joining. Ian, it would be tremendous, mate, if you can jump in some of the chat, because I know you work at Birmingham NEC, I think, big convention centre. So I'm sure you've got quite a lot of tales and stories about conventions. So please do jump in and let me know some of that as we're talking. And we've got Fuzzy. My pet hate when people cut in front, just like you silly YouTube clip, out of order. Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And we've got Terry from good old Dead Man. Thank you for seeing you, my friend. Who else we've got? We've got Efren. Good stuff. We've got my pal Dave. Dave's just hit a bit of a milestone on Instagram. If you're not checking out Dave's Instagram, please do make sure you go and have a look at it. He does film reviews and they're great. So please do check that out. We've got Padbear. Always nice to see you, Padbear. And we've got Noble Young. Always nice to see you as well, my friend. We've got Canadian Survivalist. Thank you very much for joining. And we've got James from MJ Comics. I'm presuming it's James. Always nice to see you, James. I have to get you on something, man. I keep saying that, but you need to get in so we can have a bit of a chat. We'll get you on one of the shows. We've got Bat Dan. Thank you for joining, Bat Dan. And we've got Andy from Perpetual Comics. Ask you anything? Are you sure? Yeah, exactly. So we've got Andy and Fuzzy in the chat. So God knows where the conversation will go. But yeah. Looking forward to this, guys. We're going to start off with a quick question before we'll get into the kind of the con stuff. Got a question from someone via Instagram. It's a nice, straightforward one. What do we collect that's not geeky? So, what do you collect, or do you collect anything that's non-geek related? Do you collect sports cards or anything like that? Now, James, I think I know something you've got a collection of. We'll talk about that in a bit. From the cinema. I don't know if you still collect those.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I do. Give me 1 second.
Yeah. So one of the things I was going to mention that some people might not know I collect is I'm an absolute nerd in terms of pens. So I collect fountain pens. I don't know why. My handwriting, as you can see, is absolutely friggin' awful. But I love a nice pen, a Mont Blanc pen and things like that. And I do like particularly fountain pens. And I haven't got a clue why. I just particularly enjoy them. What about yourself, Efren? What do you collect? I'm interested in the chat. You guys let me know what you guys collect outside of.
Oh, God, when I was younger, I used to collect baseball cards. I think I told you I just lost them. I have no idea what happened to them. I kind of collect golf balls. I mean, every time I see one, when I go running around a golf course, I see some and I pick them up, and I bought Marvel golf balls. I forgot what I did with them before,
Marvel golf balls?
They were golf balls, but they had Marvel characters on them. So I guess that is kind of
Nice.
geeky, but
Okay.
I like picking up golf balls for some reason,
Golf balls. That I mean, you've thrown
I
us
used
there,
to golf.
Efren.
I used to golf.
You're
Okay.
one of them.
Yeah.
Because I work in a golf club, Efren, so it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
particular type of
Yeah, I
place.
just like looking at golf balls, and
Nah, they're
they
lovely.
bounce really high. When you bounce them off the floor, they go really high. So I actually took one apart one time just to see what the hell was in it.
Rubber bands, isn't it? Isn't it
Huh?
just like loads of rubber bands?
Loads
Like,
of rubber bands,
Yeah.
tightly compacted. But I just took one apart and I just wanted to see what the hell was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, have you got any so I know Stan Lee, because I was looking for Stan Lee signed items a while ago, and he signed a hell of a lot of baseballs.
Oh,
I don't.
wow.
Have you got a golf ball signed by anybody impressive?
No, this is just like it's a random hobby that I just picked up. I buy golf balls every now and then.
Okay, very
But I
cool.
like there's different color ones, and one says #1 dad on there, so I picked that up.
All right. Yeah.
Wait, hang on. You picked that up for yourself?
No, I found it on the floor. Actually, I was in a golf.
Oh,
cart.
I thought you got
Somebody
out and
else's
bought
lovely
yourself.
present for their
Yeah.
for their dad, and you're
Yeah.
just like, yoink it.
I thought you'd got out and bought yourself #1 dad.
No.
Oh, fair enough. How about you, James?
Yeah, as you alluded to, Peter, I collect. This is I'll show you this. This is my daddy's home lunchbox, which I won at a quiz, like a cinema quiz. I used to be a cinema quiz champion with the Pickle Party.
you?
We won 15 quizzes in a row or something. Came first.
Wow.
At the cinema, and there was always like these just stupid products. But Daddy's Home, I don't know why Daddy's Home. We have loads of Daddy's Home stuff like T-shirts and like notebooks and stuff like that. But this is all.
Yeah.
This is where I throw all my cinema tickets. So I have tickets going back to like Avengers 1.
Dang.
Like, I'm sure some have gotten strewn about, like if it was raining in my jeans or something, like they just get it looks like a sheet of paper. But like, yeah, I mean, I pretty much I try and throw every cinema ticket that I have in here. So just like on the top of it, Mission Impossible. I'll dig halfway, say. Death on the Nile. That was from a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, good film.
Go to the bottom.
The sequel to that's coming. Sorry, not the sequel. The next movie, because that's Poirot, isn't it? And Murder in Venice is coming out.
Yeah.
Have you seen the
Haunting in
trailer
Venice.
for it?
Yeah, it looks like a horror movie. Like it looks. I'm
Yeah,
taking the look of it.
I didn't realize it was Poirot until kind of the very end. It was really kind of.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be something from like the what you call them? Oh man, Annabelle and all that kind of jazz.
Looks it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be something like that.
So I got like Baby Driver. I got Downhill. If I remember correctly, that's the Will Ferrell.
Don't think I've
They
seen
go
Downhill.
skiing or something like that. Yeah, I think it's like he abandons his like there's an avalanche and he leaves his family to die. It's like it's kind of like a comedy drama. Like it's good. So yeah, I mean like there are hundreds of them. So like I go to cinema like 5-6 times a month. So like well, nice little.
You're gonna need a bigger box. Bigger box.
Eventually, man, I've had to use rubber bands to tie them together to like condense them. So yeah.
Just going to jump in the chat and see what our chat colleagues are collecting. So MJ Comics, football shirts and cards. That's it. I don't do football. Back in the day, my cousins all collected football stuff because they loved football, and I was the odd one out. I was getting the Thundercats and the Transformers sticker albums and stuff like that. But I wanted to take part and I wanted to swap and things with them. So I remember buying a Panini football album, buying the stickers, and literally not having a bloody clue who anybody on any of the stickers were. It just made us feel stupid, to be honest. It was not my best moment.
I was talking about this today. Football fans are just like nerds that can't behave themselves. I think.
Poorly behaved nerds.
It's hooligans. It's nerdy. Like you're nerds for a sport, Yeah.
Well,
Efren, you're sporty, aren't you?
I love National Football League, American football.
That's not football.
Oh, we're talking soccer. Soccer.
Come on, Efren. That's not
I'm
real.
Just saying that I love it, and Peter, I love it. But you matter more to me than football, because right now I'd be watching a football game. But you said Sunday. Damn it, Sunday's my football day. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna come on Peter's channel. So
Sunday.
Naturally.
Sunday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He likes pens to write all those YouTube checks. I wish. Dave, NBA jerseys.
Oh, nice.
Very cool, mate. Very cool.
Yeah.
Dead Man collects watches. Yeah, that's an expensive hobby, mate. Myself and Big Dave, who's on the chat there, both work in a hospital. And one of our colleagues, who's a consultant, collects watches, and some of them are obscenely priced, thousands and thousands of pounds. But yeah, madness. Very, very nice collectible. I think Rich from Reviews with Rich has got a very nice watch collection as well. Fuzzy collects the souls of his victims. Very nice. Andy used to collect thumbs down. You still do, mate. You still do. Let's have a look. Who else we got? Fuzzy, golf balls bounce high. This isn't the stream. We've got GP here. Nice to see you, GP. We're actually talking about collectibles, GP. Do you collect anything outside of nerdy stuff? Bad Bear, sorry, they're saying martial arts club patches and badges. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty interesting. I know a lot of people who collect kind of military patches and things like that, and so that's an interesting one. Andy loves an impressive lunchbox. He does. Guys, get a life. Yeah.
We have the best life. Talking to you guys.
Yeah. Instead of watching football, you see exactly, Efren. Collecting cinema tickets is not.
Yeah, it's sort of it is semi nerdy.
What Sean
thing, not strictly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not merchandise or something like that. It's like a
I've heard of people like Fuzzy saying here that he collects his gig tickets whenever he goes.
I do that too, and I put them in frames.
Yeah. And we've got comic collectors. Thank you very much for joining, Cap. Nice to see you. Second rubber band mention, unbelievable. West Ham memorabilia from Ian. That's I
like ham too, especially when you put glaze on it.
Tinned, yeah. I don't like tinned ham. I'm not a spam man. Do you know what spam is, Efren? Have you ever encountered spam?
Yeah.
Man, he's been to Hawaii.
You've had
of course he knows what
spam.
spam is.
Hang on, you had spam. You didn't know earlier when I asked you if you had mushy peas with your fish and chips, but you've had spam.
Of course he has.
Spam
is like famous.
Mushy peas. You said mushy peas?
Mushy.
Yeah,
say it again for it, Alec.
Mushy peas?
Yeah,
mushy peas.
You're not talking about like mashed potatoes, are you?
No, that would be potato. Mushy.
Those are mushy
peas.
potatoes.
How do you spell it?
Mushy, like Joe Mush. Like it's like
I don't even know what it is.
It's like a half pureed pea, like it's whole peas.
You've never had a mushy pea.
Sauce.
Efren, you've never lived
mushy,
honestly,
because they're really soft and they kind of break up. Like
you basically need you get some peas and you squash them until it's
they're not normal peas, Peter. They're not garden, because you have garden peas. You have your bird's eye frozen shite, and then tins. You need to be out of the tin. They're a bit sweet.
What has happened to my channel? Honestly, I'm going to send you a tin of mushy peas, Efren. I'm going to send you a mission.
Well, there are bars around here that serve, like fish and chips and British bars around here. Maybe I'll go to one and ask for a mushy peas.
Have you ever had a Yorkshire pudding?
No.
Oh, Yorkies are delicious. I have to say now. I like go and buy them for Christmas. Like it's not really a thing here, but you can get them in Tesco, and I go and buy them for Christmas dinner.
You want to really push the boat out and try something that I've never even tried because it's luminous. Piccalilli. You ever had Piccalilli?
Oh, I like Piccalilli. It's like relish.
It's luminous. You shouldn't eat
it's like yellow, neon yellow.
Yeah.
It's like a more pickly relish, basically.
You need to get monetized, Peter, so we'll all be able to collect 3G mugs and glass. Yeah, absolutely. But we've got Highland G. Thank you very much for joining, mate. GP Venom says he collects trading cards and Warhammer minis. Yeah, I haven't. My son's got a large Warhammer collection that I painted for him. So that's a good hobby to have, GP. But my old eyes now have struggled with that a little bit. Mushy peas would blow Efren's mind. Yeah.
Gotta come over to our side on definitely.
Processed peas mashed. Andy's saying, what on earth? Well, he's not saying what on earth. What the fuck is happening tonight? And Dave's recognizing that you jumped in there with the definition of different pea types, which I like. That was good.
That's why I'm here.
Efren ate spam in his second
Fuzzy, American football rules. Until you watch the game, all I know is
that's too stop-start. Like it's just a more boring version of rugby.
American football.
Yeah.
Oh my God, guys.
We're wearing helmets.
Football for girls, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Spotted Dick, Efren. Have you encountered Spotted Dick?
What the fuck is that?
It's
I swore.
Did he just drop an F-bomb? Did he just drop an F-bomb?
Efren dropped an F-bomb.
That's getting clips anyway.
Oh my God.
You never had Spotted Dick? You can get a cream for it. It's
a sponge. It's fun. I've never had it either, Peter. It's a sponge cake, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a sponge cake with raisins and things in it, I think.
But I might ask for that at a restaurant, probably get my ass kicked or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you've broke the internet. You've broke the internet. Okay, right. Well, Jesus, that was an interesting opening topic.
Yeah,
Let's crack on, guys. Let's crack on. Thank you to everybody in the chat, by the way, who's jumping in, because this is fantastic. We had 20-odd people watching a few minutes ago, so superb stuff. Really do appreciate. Dang-a-lang-a-ling-dong. I like that one. So, guys, we're here tonight to talk conventions a little bit. And, you know, we're going to do this Ask Us Anything as we'll go through. But, James, going to start off with you, mate. So, take it away. You have control.
Yeah, so I was last weekend at Northern Ireland, Comic-Con Northern Ireland. So this is from Monopoly Events, who, Peter, we've been to a few of them. So they did For the Love of Horror, Liverpool Comic-Con, various others kind of around the country. It was in the Acon Centre in Lisburn, which is a little bit outside of Belfast. Now, there's some issues, some pretty big issues that we'll get to. But overall, I think it was a really good convention, particularly guest-wise. I think the guests really made it for me. So I had a really great time. Absolutely, I would go again. There's problems, and not all of those even necessarily apply to me. It's just like things I could see have happened if I had chosen to do this or not gotten this certain pass, for example. But the venue was quite good. I think it was fairly large. The layout of it, like the panels were out in the open, which I like, instead of Liverpool where it's kind of hidden away and you're almost well, how do you even get to them, you know? So it was nice. All the guests were out for the most part for people to see, so I think it was a good one to get the full Comic-Con experience, you know. So yeah, in that respect I enjoyed it. You know, props, of course, as always. I saw the Castle Grayskull. Now this wasn't as impressive as I thought it would be. Castle Grayskull?
Yeah, that looks tremendous.
I mean, it's just I think the front of it's impressive, but the other ones look like they were pulled off of a set, whereas this is kind of a 3D model of the front of the castle. But no, it was cool. There was loads of little props. That's kind of right as you came in, and they let everybody in, similar to Liverpool, half an hour early, so there was nobody really around these parts. I was able to kind of freely, without queuing for shit, go and get photos on the first day. So that was good. So the panels, Sean Gunn went to the Sean Gunn panel. Really interesting because the strikes are on, so everybody had a kind of a different way of dealing with that. So Sean Gunn's kind of rule was, I'm not going to talk about anything coming up. Now, of course, some people ignore that and asked him shit was he in Superman Legacy? And he's like, well, I can't talk about that. But he was basically saying as far as I'm concerned, no movies will ever get made again. So I thought that was really, really interesting. It was good. Someone asked him, and this is a bit of a cringe moment. What's it like being James Gunn's psychic?
Really?
I was a bit someone asked that, and I was a bit ooh, oh god, yeah, it was very, very awkward. But it was a good panel. He was talking a bit about his work on Guardians and playing Rocket versus playing Weasel and stuff like that. It was a good one. Michael Rooker, now he for me stole the show. I think the best thing on it by a mile. The best panel I've ever been at, because he in terms of the strikes, not. I don't think he didn't break any rules in it. He just kind of almost didn't acknowledge that they were on, but he wouldn't talk about. Nobody asked him anything that could have broken rules, so he just kind of went about it. But he, instead of everyone else was up on the stage with the moderator, he came down and went person to person rather than having the people come up to the mic. So it just felt a bit more personal. I jumped up, got a question in, and he got to a point where he ran out of people and he was just kind of running around the hall, throwing the mic in people's faces, ask me something. I mean, it's really funny.
I was going to say it's quite unusual for the star to come into the audience with the mic, isn't it? Normally there's somebody running around doing that for them.
Well, like the way it was for all the other panels was the mic was kind of in the middle of like an aisle down the middle of the hall, and you go down and queue up. But he couldn't hear the first guy, so he came down and then he just went person to person. It was like it really gave it like an energy to the panel I thought was brilliant. And like he'd go up and ask like kids, like, do you like bunny rabbits and stuff like that? It was good fun. So I asked him, how does voice work compared to like on screen? So like for example, like he voiced Merle in the Walking Dead game or voiced Yondu in What If, and he was saying like, I like being on sessions, rather than being in a booth for a year. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, it was an absolute pleasure meeting him. So yeah, that was great fun anyway. Lord of the Rings panel. So yeah, I went with my girlfriend's mom and sister, and they're huge Lord of the Rings fans, and these are kind of the reason they came to it. But again, kind of different set of rules for them. They said like, we're not going to name anything specifically, so they had to refer to Lord of the Rings as the walking movies,
right?
But they were able to kind of just like freely talk about their experiences on that. Yeah, it was a cool panel. Elijah Wood seems like an absolute gent. Like really, just you look at him, he just like he has a good positive kind of aura about him, I guess. So he was really nice. Couldn't really think of a question to ask, so I didn't go up.
Yeah,
but it was definitely the most packed panel I was at anyway. So that was good fun. And then I'm obviously big gamer. Red Dead Redemption 2 cast were there, so I got to the panel for that. I spent about 2 weeks thinking of a question to ask at this, and I went up and asked, and they were all kind of they all kind of froze when I asked it, and basically the question was like, is there any scenes that they think are underrated? And nobody could think of anything. So like one of them just talked about like a scene that people praise a lot. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Walked off. But it was cool. Really interesting to hear them talk about the game. And there was no restrictions about like what they can talk about as well. So that was good. And then I met some people. So this is some of the Red Dead cast. I met like Roger Clark, who had kind of the biggest queue, probably out of everybody at the convention. Gave me flashbacks to Sam Witwer, Peter.
Oh, Jesus.
Because there was a girl at the panel I was talking to, like before it started, like she was in like an amazing Red Dead kind of cosplay, and she had said like she had been in and out of his queue the whole of the previous day, like leaving, coming back, and then had to do it again. She's like, queued 3 hours this morning. I've had to come to the panel and have to go back, which is very similar to kind of what I had with Sam Witwer. So I was like, the poor girl queued for like 8 hours total of the convention to meet him. So yikes, I think that's it's a rough one anyway. But yeah, all these guys were really lovely. Rob Whiteoff in particular, I think he plays John Marston. It's weird to hear his voice coming out of him, when I've known that character for so long. So that was great. Got a few autographs from them as well. So that was cool. Some of my quotes I like about them. And then I got some photo ops. So I met Michael Rooker. I was just so happy with the panel. I said I'll go get a photo, and I got him, and then Elijah Wood as well. So yeah, that was really cool. Do that.
Proper stars on proper stars out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, Elijah just like, I was really nervous meeting him. It's like, I think Lord of the Rings is one of the first movies I ever saw in the cinemas. So like, it was it was overall a cool con, but definitely some issues that some people are kind of mentioning Perpetual Comics here.
Yeah.
It was like being in an oven on the Saturday, because it was about 28 degrees or something like that, and there was like barely any, if any, air conditioning. So even like the guests were saying how hot it was, and like everyone was sweating. It was pretty like nasty. So I don't know how like Monopoly could rectify that.
Yeah. It's down to the venue, I suppose, isn't it? And trying to, I mean, I know when we were at Star Wars Celebration, it was quite hot there as well, but that was because of the volume of people. I would have thought it was just so immense,
Yeah. And like, in terms of like crowd, I saw, I didn't really get this because I never went near the traders section at peak times, so I didn't really have the issue. I heard some people, it was chock-a-block, you couldn't move, couldn't get in and look at things. But like, aside from that kind of area, the rest of the convention, like, there wasn't particularly overcrowded. So I don't know if maybe like tweak the layout a little bit for next year would improve that. One issue, I think probably my biggest issue with the convention overall was the demeanor of some of the staff. Really? So, for example, my girlfriend's mom and sister got diamond passes. So I went up with them, and the two guys there was one diamond pass lane at the end of the hall, and it was a very long hall. And like my My girlfriend's mom has like issues walking, which is why she got the Diamond Pass. She won't be standing in queues all day.
Yeah.
And so like you had to go and, let's say, for example, if Elijah Wood and Sean Astin were at the end of the hall, you'd have to go to the lane, get walked over to Elijah Wood, then walk all the way back, and then get walked back over to Sean Astin instead of just being plopped next to him, which I thought was strange. The two guys running it seemed like bouncers. Like they were kind of like big 50-year-old guys. Who the fuck is that? Where are they? They seemed like annoyed every time that they went up, which I thought was really horrendous when like they paid a lot of money to utilize that. Or like annoyed about how many times they went up, which is like the whole point of getting a Diamond Pass. Now, I posted this on Northern Ireland Comic Con's Facebook page, and other people had commented the same thing. There was even one girl who said she has anxiety, so she went and queued normally for some guests because she didn't want to have to go back up to the guys.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
So
that's awful.
Yeah, horrible. And then I forgot to even tell you this beforehand, but there was a guest that I was supposed to meet that cancelled. He didn't cancel. He didn't show up on the Saturday. So I had my photo and autograph book for Sunday. All day I'd looked and like he wasn't at his table. I went and asked staff member. I was told by one there was a problem with his plane. I was told by another he was sick. I was told by another he was there and he was coming out in a few minutes. And then nothing on Monopoly's Facebook page about what the situation was. And then it found out that night he'd cancelled and he wasn't coming the next day. So like if I had my thing booked for Saturday, I'd be hanging around waiting and not knowing whether he's actually coming or not. So I thought that was strange. So communication was kind of an issue. Tickets weren't getting scanned for things. So like hypothetically, if you wanted to just like walk into the photo shoot and take a photo, you could probably get away with that.
See, and again, that's something we talked about, wasn't it, at Star Wars Celebration? And I don't know what it was like over when you went to Celebration, Efren, but here in the UK, I don't think my pass was looked at all, apart from when we tried to get into the
Ahsoka panel.
The Ahsoka panel.
That was the only time I ever looked at.
Yeah, getting in and out of the venue, they didn't look at anything. You just walked in.
Could have walked right in.
Yeah.
Like imagine the people paying so much money for, on secondhand sites to get tickets and shit, and you could have just walked in.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people did. People probably got to try and get away with it, especially for like the second day, knowing that that's a thing. And there was like another thing. For example, I paid for like all those pictures I got with the Red Dead cast. It was like 5 or 10 extra to get that. So there was like this 17-year-old guy with one of the actors who was from Northern Ireland. So I don't know, is he a son of a person from Monopoly events or from the center? And he took the photo, and the photo was blurry as shit. Took one photo, it looked terrible. So I noticed afterwards, and I said, right, I'll go back tomorrow and I'll just tell him. So I went up to him the next day, and I said, hey man, I paid for a photo yesterday, and it looks terrible. Like, is it all right if I take it again? And he goes, oh, did I only take one photo? I said, yeah, you only took one photo, and it looks like shit. So like, I'd like to take another photo. And he goes, shh, okay, like on the slide. And I was like, all right. And I walked off and I was like, hang on, I fucking paid for a photograph. I want a good photograph, like he was making it as if like he's doing me a favor under the table to get another photograph. It was like very strange. So like, the staffing, there's some issues I think need to be addressed for
and let's be honest, you're paying a lot of money for some of this stuff, aren't you? The photos and things are not cheap. So you deserve a good, a good experience. And Ian, who works, like I say, in a big venue, we'd be shot if we treat customers like that. It's really interesting because I remember on my Saturday night show, we talked a couple of months back about another big London event where there was a whole backlash after the event because people were being treated dreadfully. Particularly, it felt a lot of the disabled community were having a real hard time in terms of access and how unpleasant some of the security staff had been. So really interesting. James, what we're going to do today, guys, I should have really mentioned at the start, is we'll break each section up with a few questions, but each of us will talk a little bit about our convention experience in general as well. So, James, I've got some slides for you after this about general convention stuff. But before we jump onto that, we'll just jump back into the chat, see some of the comments that people are making. We've got 22 people watching, guys. This is phenomenal. Thank you so much. Please do make sure you go check out James T. Keegan's YouTube channel and, of course, Past Point Comics YouTube channel. Some superb content. Efren, you still doing your giveaway, or is that finished now?
No, I was gonna post it on Instagram one more time. I'm gonna do the giveaway this upcoming week, probably on a Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm gonna pick the winner. So I'm giving away 2 CGC comic books. They were courtesy of Black Saber Comics. He just gives me comic books every now and then. So I'm going to give 2 of them away, and there's 3. I think we're going to do it. I'm going to do the giveaway when we do our monthly recommended readings, this week. So yeah, I'm still doing it.
Superb. So if people want to get onto it, Efren, how do they join? How do they get into the comp?
Just look at my go to my YouTube channel under it wasn't a live video, so it's just a regular video. You just look for giveaway, the most recent one. It's about it's 3 weeks old now. So just leave a comment and you're in the running, and I'll ship it anywhere, so
brilliant. Good
stuff. As long as Peter
mate.
pays for it, I don't care.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, no problem. GP's just saying here, I knew James was a hobbit.
There's not a lot of people I meet that are shorter than me.
Yeah.
At these conventions. So like, I thought that was interesting. Like he's very small. Very nice.
Chris, nice to see you, Chris. I hope you are well. Full of filament stars, no doubt. Comics in the submason basement behind a locked door. Absolutely, mate. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit because that's my experience at the moment. Not a lot of comics at Comic Cons.
There was literally none at Northern Comic Con.
None.
And even like I like Artist Alley. Like I like to go up, and even if they're not professionals, just some people who do pictures. And there was like one table. They called it Artist Alley, and it was like some girl who like it was a cool style, but just not for me. It was kind of very glittery, kind of almost like My Little Pony style stuff. So like, yeah, it just wasn't nothing for me there. Like, I wanted to commission because I was there for 2 days, so I could have picked it up the next day.
Yeah.
And just,
well, speaking of commissions, Bat Dan is just saying not long till Thought Bubble now. Whoop whoop. I'm going to be talking about Thought Bubble in my section, Dan, a little bit later on, mate. Hope to meet you there. Thought Bubble was a proper comic convention as far as I'm concerned. So really excited to get to that one soon. How short was he, man? The doors are tiny. He's only about 4'8", mate. On the cartoon it's perspective, but yeah, he's about 4'8", just a midget. James, what's it like being Peter's sidekick? Sorry, no, Peter, what's it like being James's sidekick? How dare you? How dare you? Yeah, at this point, I'm just happy James is still talking to us. So I'll happily be his sidekick. Yeah.
Once again, Peter, I got recognized 3 times. Nice. And the first time I've ever someone didn't say your channel, they just said like James. The other 2, Triple T Comics channel. Oh, so nice, Niall, I think, was one of their names. So very pleasant.
Best my favorite being recognized, because I have been recognized a couple of times, which is very nice. But my favorite being recognized story was when myself, James, and a couple of other YouTubers, one of which who does like the limelight, were walking down a convention, and the person stopped with and said, "Oh, are you Peter from Triple G Comics?" And he was like, it was like, you know, right? Yeah.
That was great, I have to say. And like, I think they'd said like something a minute ago of like, oh, there's no way I'm gonna get recognized, and then that happened immediately after. It was very funny.
It was fun. We've got Andy saying that belt buckle is tremendous.
Thank you. That's my well, that's the other annoying thing is I wore the Nathan Drake costume for my photo shoot for Your Man, and then he cancelled because he's a villain in Uncharted. So like, it's a bit
Fuzzy saying you used to poke fun at you, James, but you look like you could spark him out. So yeah, he's gonna stop doing that.
I assume that's I've never heard the phrase "spark them out," but I'm just from the context.
Chin them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm a lover, not a fighter, Fuzzy. So don't worry about that.
JP saying those photos were great, as is Bat Dan.
It was overall great. I think really good convention. You know, like I don't want to end on a negative. I had a really great time, and I could definitely go again. So.
Fuzzy saying that Tash is a cork. It's interesting you saying that, Fuzzy. I saw that image of him. Not what I was expecting. That little Tash, but interesting.
Like it looked like a certain historical figure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard that from a few people.
Dave's never want to mince his words.
Yeah, Sophie, if you're watching, I told you so.
Dave's just, I think I've told you guys this story. Both looked healthier than when I met Darth Vader at Newcastle. Dave is a huge Star Wars fan. I'm looking forward to you meeting Dave when you come up, James, in a few weeks' time. He's about 8'2", I think, Dave. But we went to a convention, and Dave Prowse was there. And as a lifelong Star Wars fan, Dave obviously had to go and see him, and he just came back crushed. I mean, it was a bit like, you know, when you see those horrible tales of Stan Lee at the end of his kind of a convention experience.
On that topic, I mean, Bernard Hill from Lord of the Rings. I don't even think he's that old. I think he's just like, you know, he's unwell perhaps, but like Sean Astin had to like whisper in his ear what people were asking, and I went up to the table with them to get their autograph, and he seemed very frail and had to be helped them on stage, and it was
It's
in that
sad,
heat, like
it's
it'd been
hard.
rough for him.
It's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. Ian accosted me at the last Comic-Con I went to. Yeah, I've seen the video. Very, very cool. I'd love to meet you, Ian. We'll have to get to one of the cons down your neck of the woods. Andy, Northern Ireland Comic-Con next year, lads.
Honestly,
I've never been to Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Be a great time. Yeah.
I've never been.
Different country, Peter, but
yeah,
Northern Ireland. Yeah,
well, it's near enough, isn't it? Right.
What a whole war about it, Peter.
Next question, guys. Next question, and this one comes from Dave. And I'm interested in your thoughts on this. So, is Disney, Dave? I've broken your image. Sorry, I've broken your question down into basically what I think you're saying. Is Disney destroying Star Wars, Marvel, and Indiana Jones franchises? Have they run them into the ground? Do you think it's Disney's fault? We'll start with you, Efren. What do you think?
Gosh. Well, if Disney didn't own the property to those companies, would we be seeing these many shows and movies? You know, so I don't think they're ruining it. I think they got to slow down and think of what they're doing. You know, just like Ahsoka is a perfect example. If they have some caliber of talent, and I'm talking about Dave Filoni in charge, then, you know, I think they would do a lot better if they picked the right people to direct, to produce these shows, you know. But sometimes I think they're trying to get something out there so quick and it doesn't work, just to make a quick buck. It almost seems like, are they ruining it? No, but it's getting close, if you ask me, you know. But people are still going to watch it. I still watch it. That's the thing, you know.
I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head for me there, Efren. James, I'm really interested in your thoughts. I'll come to you next, mate. But there's something to be said about the quality isn't the same, I think. And I think that's disappointing, because I think some of the movies are and the shows aren't as good. But we're still getting content. And I think I'd rather have content than worry about it going away and doing it. I mean, we were talking the other day on a show about Buck Rogers, a show I used to love as a kid, but nobody's made anything about Buck Rogers for years, so he's just gone, you know. And you worry that, I know Marvel and Star Wars are massive properties, so it's very unlikely, but you kind of worry that, you know, if they stop making shows and things, do people lose it? Does it lessen, and then we're not as excited about what's coming next? I don't know. What do you think, James?
I think people are very quick to forget the high points. You know, ultimately, if Disney didn't buy Lucasfilm, we wouldn't have had a Star Wars thing for years. Like video games and comics were really. Maybe we would have got another show potentially, but like Star Wars is around. There are Star Wars things being made because Disney bought Star Wars. So whether you love that or not, you know that is the case. I don't know if people even remember what Marvel movies were like back before Disney bought them. You know, like it was very disjointed. Most of them were terrible, like not even just bad, like terrible.
Yeah.
You know, you had the occasional good one, like some of the X-Men movies and the Spider-Man movies, but the rest of them, you know. I think you can make an argument Disney Plus is diluting them a bit, where the quality is kind of going down, and they feel a bit less special. But like to say like they're ruining these things, that, you know, Avengers Endgame was only 4 years ago, you know, which is one of my favorite like things. Werewolf by Night, you know, there's still like amazing stuff. I think the you know, the consistency maybe is dropping a little bit in terms of the quality, but like there's still some great, like Guardians 3 was only one of the last movies.
Guardians was
phenomenal. Yeah. So like, I don't think so.
I think there's definitely a quality control issue, and I think one of the other things that me and Dave have talked about before is the changing of the lore and the mythology. And I know in terms of Star Wars, he gets quite twitchy about, you know, them changing canon things and stuff in the past, and I certainly feel that myself with what they did with Thor, the last Thor movie. I mean, for me as a lifelong Thor fan, that was it was just awful to watch. Do you know what I mean? Not just because it was a crap film, but also because it was like a total move away from what I love about the character.
Yeah.
You're a massive Star Wars fan, James. Ahsoka, has any of the changes to kind of the lore bothered you as much?
There's not really been any changes because it's building on stuff that was established already in Rebels and Clone Wars, like where she meets, spoilers for the newest episode of Ahsoka, where she meets Anakin is the world between worlds, and that's kind of explored in Rebels. And the Purrgil are in Rebels as well, and there's like kind of this sort of holy trinity of Force gods that I think they're tapping into as well. That's in Clone Wars. So like, yeah, it's building on things. I don't think they're changing much. I remember like even, and this would be before Disney bought Star Wars, but the idea of Anakin having an apprentice I really disliked, and most people hated Ahsoka initially. So if anything, like under Disney's rule, Ahsoka I think's improved as a character, you know, like particularly with Rebels. I think Rebels is a Disney property, you know, like Disney made them make Rebels, so you know, appreciate them.
Okay, guys, just going to quickly jump back to the chat and then we'll move on. Chris, always nice to see you, Chris. Never had any interest in meeting actors or creators. I haven't anything signed, so cons are not my bag unless there's lots of art on sale. I'm happy reading or watching their creations, pics and sigs. So for me, Chris, and again, I'm going to touch it on my little bit, I'm probably the same as you. The getting a selfie or whatever with an actor doesn't necessarily appeal to me, but I like the artwork and stuff. What I would say, Chris, is you need to come to Thought Bubble, mate, because that is just a totally different con experience. I'd recommend you come up to that one, bud. Andy, pardon me, 23 people watching, 25 now. Hit that like button, and you're all getting free tickets to North Island Comic Con. That's good stuff. And we've got Chris here. Always nice to see you, Chris. Thank you for joining, bud. Fuzzy saying he agrees with Chris from off the
sorry, because I just reminded by timekeeping. All the guests were 2 hours late for the autograph session as well.
Really?
2 hours late both days.
God.
So if you had timed your day to a T, that you're just screwed. That's why I like immediately I'm like, I don't care how much I have to pay. I have to get a diamond pass for Liverpool, or like I'll end up being screwed. So yeah, that's
the worry, isn't it? I mean, and I know we're going to talk about con experience in a bit, and I'm hoping you're going to touch on it, James. But your experience at Liverpool last year was, well, reduced people to tears. Do you know what I mean?
I literally nearly like I teared up, like I was about to start crying. I was so like under stress, like and unexpectedly, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. Fuzzy saying nothing would annoy me more than crowds of thousands sweating on me. Yeah, I feel like I should be on commission, Fuzzy. Thought Bubble, you don't get that experience. Star Wars
Comic-Con stank.
Sorry, mate?
You know, Comic-Cons have a stank to them.
Yeah.
You walk in the room, it's just
sent to it. Sent to it. Particularly if there's a lot of cosplayers there who are sweating in the rubber costumes.
There's a guy. Oh my god, there's a guy in a Predator suit, and the Mrs. Sister went to get a photo with him, and he moved his arm, and just like a dribble of sweat came out of the glove, like because it was a big.
I mean, normally, to be fair, Fuzzy, normally the smell at American Comic Cons is Ephraim's waistcoat because it's not been washed since the 30s. Chris is just saying the quality hasn't been there since 1980 in terms of Marvel and Disney. Yeah, you might be right. Let's have a look. Trying to see if anybody else is jumping in. Oh yes, Big Dave. The highs aren't as high as the lows, are much lower for me, unless you get a few middle of the road. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I think Disney Plus demands has rushed poor content. I mean, I have to say, Dave, I watched, I'm going to use it, and Fuzzy's in the chat. Please don't switch off, Fuzzy. She-Hulk felt to me, in terms of the special effects and stuff, like they just rushed that out. If they'd spent maybe another 6 months to a year getting that smartened up a little bit, I think my enjoyment of the series would have been much, much better. But I don't know. And you've upset Fuzzy. It's Skywalkers, not Purgles. Come on, get it right. He's trademarked that. He has trademarked that. Bat Dan is saying he does miss UKCAC in the late. Yeah, I went to a few of those, mate. They were proper cons, proper conventions. Relation to Ahsoka, yeah. I've got a few bits of UK. Yeah. Relation to Ahsoka, as you're saying, Luke, last of the Jedi. Yet Ahsoka isn't really a Jedi, but it's unclear of the rule of two. Yet you have two closer to Sith running around. You'd expect the Empire Vader. Yeah, he's getting into proper geek kind of territory there. So
this is a fine conversation now. That's going to
be this is when you guys meet up and when we go out for tea, and I just sit quietly, and you're going to be battling about bloody
You're
Jedi.
begging for some neighbors of wrestling talk, I think, at that stage.
I may just come to hug and hold your hand all day if you like. Yeah, absolutely, mate. You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Let's have a quick look. Chris, I think you're probably right. I think they're running on the throw enough out, and some of it will stick principle. Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. GP, I don't believe that for a second. You didn't have a problem with the special effects in She-Hulk.
I think you're exaggerating, Peter. I don't think they're that like this.
Bullshit.
No,
some of it is atrocious. Absolutely.
Some specific shots, but there's not with everything, isn't it?
That's because you're one of the good ones, GP. And Peter is very huggable. I'm soft. I'm soft and squidgy. So yeah,
he's good for a cuddle as well.
Yeah, absolutely. She-Hulk was fun, but most of the positives were really with Daredevil returning. Absolutely. And Fuzzy's quite right. Perfect spoon and park.
You see,
right, James.
I didn't like when they had Daredevil and She-Hulk because they made him too nice. This was not the Daredevil from Netflix.
Yeah,
he was like almost like a 180 character. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm hoping when he gets his own show, we're going to see a darker, grittier Daredevil and not a. Yeah. Everybody needs Triple G for a pillow. As soon as I get monetized, mate, that's what I'm going to get. Triple G pillows. Yeah,
I'd buy it. Yeah. Like those anime ones that they sell at conventions where with the tall ones that you hug. Yeah, I'd buy that. I'll buy that for $1.
Jesus Christ. Moving on then. James, we'll stick with you, mate. Your general con experience. And all the pictures you sent us have stuck into about 3 or 4 slides, bud.
Sweet. Yeah. I just kind of threw some random ones in. I have been going. My first convention was actually New York Comic Con. Back in 2013, I think, somewhere around then. My sister loved Ted 2, and there's a sequence that's in New York Comic Con, and she was working for an airline and was doing an overnight in New York. And Comic Con happened to be on, and she said, "James, would you like to go to Comic Con like in Ted?" And I said, "That sounds fun." So I went. I met. I'm sure there's a picture of it here. Yeah, just on the far right there. Look at me, baby faced. I met Kevin Conroy, and I got my Arkham game signed. That's me with the badge on the left as well. Yeah. So that was a really great experience. I got the kind of rush of meeting a guest at a convention and decided to make this a thing. So I went back. So that Dublin Comic Con and like Ireland Comic Con were things. So like I've met kind of over the years. Like I usually used to only go for guests, go get my autograph, have some food, go home. Me and my sister often go to MCM Comic Con in October in London. So she goes mostly just to get like some weird Japanese food. And I'll go get my autographs and we have a look around and buy some stuff and go. Like never really did panels until Comic Con Ireland a couple of years ago, and I sat basically like there was the first panel I wanted to go to and a panel 3 hours later I wanted to go to, so I just sat in the front the whole day watching all the panels, and there was like David Mazouz from Gotham, Chris Claremont was there as well.
Oh wow,
yeah, that was a really cool.
Of course,
but like
of course we've all met Chris Claremont, haven't we?
Yeah,
we have
via reference. Yeah.
But it was interesting, like even back then, and I know that like an issue that I'm sure you guys have is like how Comic Cons are moving away from comics in general. Yeah, they're pop culture conventions more so now, and like I'm part of that problem because I go to meet TV and video game and actors, and like the comic aspect of it is not really a big thing for me. But like nobody asked him a question, like nobody had and I was kind of stunned. Like I was saving my question because my panel was next, the Troy Baker one, and I wanted my question answered, so I didn't ask a question during the Claremont one, or I felt like it would have been ignored. But nobody had any questions. Nobody wanted to ask about like the thought process behind Sabretooth or anything like that. It was kind of shocking. And like it had no cue for the day, so I thought that was interesting. But like I just love the experience of going to conventions. Now I like this past week, and I got a bit of that entire experience of like the panels and the stalls and the actors and the photo ops and everything. So like had a blast. But like I met some great ones. My favorite one just here on the bottom in the middle, that's Roger Clark. So he was at Northern Ireland Comic Con, but I met him a few years ago at MCM London, and I think this is probably my favorite meeting of a guest ever. He was just so upbeat, and like he was asking me questions about myself. Where are you from? Oh, I love Dublin, talking about this, and like really engaging. I think we had like a 5-minute conversation. And we like took the photo, and he shouted like "Lenny," which is like a quote in the game, and just like such a positive person. Like I walked away just like in awe, like at how amazing he was. So yeah, that was great.
It doesn't. Do you know what? It doesn't take much, does it? Because, and what I mean by that is, you see some con guests who are like that, and then you get others who literally don't even look at you. They just sign what's in front of them, and you're pushed and moved on.
I mean, on that topic, Anthony Mackie was at maybe like a 10 second. Well, Haley Atwell I met, she was like next to him at this conveyor belt. Like, didn't shake my hand, barely said hi.
That breaks my heart because you know how much I love Haley Atwell.
Now, to be fair, like it was that could be. She's been told she has a certain amount of people to get through, and like her, hurry up, whatever. Like, I don't take hold. I still love her. Like, still love. It was cool that I met her and stuff, but it was more so I got an autograph rather than I had like an experience with her. But Anthony Mackie hit on my sister, so that was fun.
What's he wrote there?
I asked him to write this, cut the check. So like there's like a behind the scenes of him on set where every time they cut, she goes, cut the check. And so that was cool. And like,
and then of course you've got Kevin Conroy there before you moved on, haven't you?
Yes.
The Batman. I mean, superb. I've met him myself at I think it was Birmingham Comic Con, and he was just an absolute gentleman. Just an absolute delight.
I was so nervous I didn't even like ask her. I just like, oh, I love your voice. Like I said something that's
slightly
stupid,
creepy,
like,
slightly creepy.
I was just kind of like shocked, and he was like, "Oh, this will look good in blue." And he like shook a blue pen and signed my Arkham City copy. So like that was great. I think that's that all of mine. Yeah, and I've actually volunteered at a convention as well. So I did a bit on. I was on the cosplay check on Dublin Comic Con, so making sure like the baseball bats weren't actual wood and people didn't have actual nails in the Negan bats and stuff like that. So that was fun. So like I love conventions. Only really lately have issues like the overcrowding and such really been a problem. I don't remember prior to last year waiting more than 45 minutes ever for a guest autograph or anything like that.
Superb, mate. Superb. Just going to quickly jump to the comments here. We've got a few MJ Comics. James looks like a pimp. Right.
I don't know which photo he's referring to.
Look at those squidgy little cheeks. Ooh, look.
Looks like a fat little chipmunk. So I agree with the beard.
Fuzzy's asking if that's the same white shirt. Cheeky bastard.
No, I actually had a stress to go get a new one.
Yeah,
let's just say I've outgrown it.
Got a couple more questions, but I'm going to do Chris's question because I really like this one, and I'm going to come to Efren first on this because he does a lot of big name cons. Are event organizers running meet and greets into the ground? I don't know if you do many meet and greets, Efren.
I've done a few, but every time it depends on the actor. I mean, there's a long line. There's a long line. It just means everybody wants to meet them, So that's a tough question. I don't think they are. It's just the nature of the beast. People want to meet, actors or, creators. And the more famous the creator, the longer the line. So if people are willing to wait hours and hours, it's up to them. But I don't think they're ruining it to the ground. It's just part of the Comic-Con convention. Is just the way it is now. Everybody wants to meet these actors, so to speak.
I think Ian's got a great point here. I'm going to come to you, James, on this one. They're so overpriced, and I'm mindful that when we were going to Star Wars Celebration, which is an event, let's be honest, is printing money. All the people that are desperate to go, it's just churning out cash, But we looked at a few guests prior to the con who were at local cons, and I can't remember, but I'm just going to pick another. The signature price was say 50 quid.
Yeah.
And then the same guests were going to Star Wars Celebration and they were like 200 quid.
100 like, I believe literally Giancarlo Esposito, 45 at Liverpool, 125 at Celebration, I think it was.
Wow. So big jumps. And it's like that to me kills because if you want a few, I mean, James, you're going to Liverpool, you're seeing 4 people or something. I'd hate to think how much that's going to cost you. Do you know what I mean?
A lot. I'm happy I spread it over time,
So what do you think? Do you think these organizers are kind of ruining the meet and greet market a little bit?
It depends who sets the the price, you know, like it could be in their agent that says, well, there's more people at this one, like Star Wars Celebration. There's going to be more of a demand for your autograph. You're not competing with as many because you're the headline for this show or whatever. But prices have gone up like significantly. I remember Anthony Mackie, I think I only paid £40 for something, and he was like, that was post I think Infinity War was only just coming out, like, so the trailer for that was out and everything. Haley Atwell was 35 or something like that, whereas now they'd be pushing 100, both of them. Like at the past weekend, I think Elijah Wood was 90 or something for an autograph, maybe 100. The Vampire Diaries guys, I think the same, you know, and like I've seen some even at like, but sure, like Jensen Ackles 157 or something like that. You know, it's quite a lot. Like that's astronomical. 5 years ago, you would never. I remember seeing Frank Miller charge 70 and going like, "What a bastard!" Like that's so expensive, you know. Like, so like, yeah, it's crazy. But I suppose like COVID, there was no conventions for a while, and I think they wanted to catch up, and it just kind of went up.
It just, there, you know? it just, and again, I should be on commission. If I think of somewhere like Thought Bubble, and I know it's a different breed because they are comic book creators, but you get no charge for any signature at Thought Bubble. You know, the only time you might get a charge, and it's normally a charitable donation, is if you say this book's going for CGC, and then they'll charge you something. If you take a pile of books, so for example, James Tynion is there, 5 books signed, nothing, no choice, no price, and then he sends you to the back of the queue for another 5 if you want. But there's no charge to it, you know. And it just makes it a more fun, enjoyable experience.
I mean, I suppose for these actors, like, not to potentially insult.
No, I know what you mean.
But like their time is so valuable, you know, they get paid so much, they're so wealthy, like it's their incentive. Like Elijah Wood, I was working this out like yesterday, like a rough, probably 200 grand he made at that convention, like, you know, and that's. I think, you know, especially now with the strikes on, like it's probably quite appealing for all of these actors to go out and do conventions while they have the free time and they're not getting income from being on shows.
I mean, if you think if they are churning them out, that's a good payday. If you're getting, even if the actor's getting half that amount, and they're just rotating through people, do you know what I mean? It's obscene, really, the amount of money.
Absolutely.
David Duchovny, that's cheap, mate. He was Angel. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Not Dave, no, sorry, no, he wasn't. It's X-Files. Sorry,
X-Files.
Who's
Mulder?
Angel?
Mulder. David Boreanaz.
Boreanaz, Mulder, not so much then. But
I mean, Chris, like the you know, household name show, and he's the main character. I think that's not unreasonable, you know.
Yes, you can, Chris. Normally they've got kind of tables full of their own kind of books and products and things like that. You'll not get many single issues. Saying that, last year there was a couple of big comic book retailers there, but if you're wanting specific books, it's probably easier to take kind of your own copies. I tend to, and I know Andy, if he's still in the chat, tend to take a little pile of books that I want to get signed. But you can certainly buy kind of convention exclusives and all kinds of stuff at the
even
tables.
Like at MCM a few years ago, I met Adi Granov, and he designed the Velocity suit for the Spider-Man game. And it's look, where is it? It's there. You can't really see it that well, but like I took like an in-game screenshot of the suit, like in a pose. And I brought it up to him, and he signed it. Like, he's like, this is amazing. Like that you took this photo. Like, I love this. And I was asking him, because you signed it, no charge or anything. I was kind of blown away at the time. That I was like, oh, I don't have to pay anything. I want money. You know, cool. Walked off.
I remember that. Like I say, the first time I went to Thought Bubble, I was just taken aback because all my convention experiences that far had been signed, you know, a nominal fee for something. I never expected them to do it for free. It was incredible. GP Venom. My signature's a 5. I just seen. I mean, that's about $4.99 overpriced, I think, GP.
He will have a stall available at Thought Bubble. You can come meet and greet, photo ops, all the whole
and David Duchovny will always be more Californication for me. He's very good on Saturday Night Live as well, actually. Playing Jeff
I love Evolution. Evolution.
Good film.
Love that one.
It's a good movie.
Okay.
Efren, you have been to some amazing conventions in your time.
To hear this now.
So I've stuck the images you sent us in a few slides, but just tell a little bit about your convention experience. Sorry, mate. Do you want to move the slides on, or do you want to just give me a nod and I'll move them on? Whatever's easier for you.
I don't have access to the slides, so you can do.
Okay, well, just give us a nod.
Yeah. So I've been spoiled. I won't say that I haven't been spoiled because of San Diego Comic-Con, and just going there, and I'm so used to the crowds now. It's just a way of life going to a comic book convention for me. I like seeing artists. I like seeing actors, but I don't like getting in line for them. I just like seeing them. If I see them, I'm cool with it. I go to their panels, which is free, and I hear them talk, about their shows or their movies or the comic book creators. I like going to panels. But as far as the lines, I'll stay in the line if I want to get a comic book exclusive. When I got the books for some of you guys at San Diego Comic-Con, I knew I'd have to stand in line, but that line moved fast. It was only like less than half an hour that I stayed in line, for them. Some of them are longer, depends on the comic book. Some of those lines go on forever. And I just say, nope, I'm not into that. I just avoid them as much as possible. It's just not my thing, standing in line. When I go to Comic Cons, especially San Diego Comic-Con, I like doing things like this. This Spider-Man 2, the line lasted less than 10 minutes. I took my pictures and I was, done with it. I'm more into taking pictures of panels, not panels like these, but exhibits like this that go by quickly. You go on to the next one.
So, Efren, before we do, mate, the shark biting your head, I'm noticing the legs there. Is that a cosplay? Is that somebody in it, or is that
No, it was just the way it was. It was at a booth, and I just happened to be walking by, and I went, "Oh my god, I'm gonna take a quick picture."
Yeah.
I'm just really jealous of the Spider-Man display. Like, that looks incredible, and I wish I could have been at that.
Yeah, and obviously, Efren, on that picture there, we've got your world famous waistcoat. Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know, just briefly tell me a little bit about the waistcoat.
I can go get it too if you want to. I can show it in a couple minutes.
Yeah, go and grab it, bud.
I'll be right back. Okay.
So James, you're a massive Spider-Man game fan. You've not had anything like that at any of the cons you've been to?
Just that big PlayStation kind of symbols thing. There's not much in the ways of game displays really at Comic Cons, like in the way that there's the movie prop section, because we're going to MCMs and stuff like that. They're not going to promote it that heavily there.
Have you ever done any of the big gaming conventions? Because I know Comic Con Simon was at one at the weekend, I think.
Outside of, Star Wars Celebration was the first non-comic convention I went to. So like aside from that, I've never been to the gaming ones. We had a gaming one here once, and it was a disaster apparently, where like thousands of people with tickets weren't allowed in, and it was a whole scandal, and they never did it again. So like I'd have to go to I think they're smaller ones, but not with like voice actors at them or anything like that. So like, that's the draw for me really, is to, or even if there was like developers there showing games or doing, press conferences, but like, nothing for me to go. I'd love to go to a Gamescom or E3 is not a thing anymore, but like, they used to do one called PlayStation. It was like a yearly PlayStation convention, like the Sony ran. And I can't remember the name of it, but I would love to go to that if they do another one.
Well, maybe do it together. Maybe do one together.
Absolutely, yeah.
Efren, show with this stunning waistcoat then.
So I bought this vest about 10 years ago, more or less, at San Diego Comic-Con. I just bought it because I like the characters on the side here. You see them all, and then just out of the blue, and I was in line waiting for an artist, I just said, "Hey, would you mind signing my vest?" And it just took off from there. I've been getting as many signatures as I can of artists that that grab my attention. And like I said, I've just been doing it just for so long.
Stan Lee, Todd McFarlane, Neil Adams, jeez, Efren, it's
Todd McFarlane, Todd Knock, Steranko, Campbell.
It's just George like a who's who of comic creators, isn't it? It's
you see George Perez right there at the bottom on the left hand side.
See Peaches there as well. Yeah.
Peaches did a sketch, isn't she?
Joe Rubenstein, Peach Momoko did a sketch for me this last year at San Diego Comic-Con. I just asked her, and she just did it really quick. I thought it was pretty cool. And Jim Lee's in there, but is like right in the middle, but you can hardly see his signature anymore. It's just one.
Have you got Scotty Young on there?
No, I don't have Scotty Young. I've been trying to get him. He wasn't at San Diego Comic-Con this year. So I didn't get him, on there. And yeah, but I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And it doesn't smell like anything. It's just, I don't do it.
Well, when you're around it for so long, Efren, I can't imagine someone wearing a thing to multiple conventions and then not
remember, I don't wear this all the time. I just at conventions.
Just in bed.
That's
just
all,
in bed.
That's all you need, man. That's all the time.
I will never wash it because I know some of the names will go away.
Yeah, of course. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, the big one was Stan Lee, and Neil Adams. George Perez. I wanted to get John Romita, but I didn't get him. Unfortunately.
At any point, Efren, do you think with that you'll be done? Like you'll be like, that's everybody I want really on this thing, or is it always there's always going to be more comic creators that you're going to want to get on it?
A creator catches my attention. Like I said, I want to get Scotty Young. Peter brought it up. I want to get him. I think that's, yeah. I mean, if I see a creator, the creator who I should have got it from this year, but I met him is the animator for the X-Men, the original X-Men. His last name is Houston. I forgot his first name. And I talked to him and everything. Yeah, I bought some prints from him, and I go, dang it, I should have got him to sign my vest. I just didn't think about it.
Yeah. And is it just comic book? I know you don't like cues, but have there been any media guests, like TV or movies that you have?
No, it's just been comic book writers or artists.
It's just amazing how different people's experience at conventions can be.
Yeah.
Like how everyone goes for different things.
It's tremendous, mate. Before we move on to your slides, Efren, there's a few comments about the vest. So first of all, Chris just saying, as an Englishman, I do love a well-organized, strictly adhered to queue. Have you ever experienced any queue jumping at a con? That's an interesting question, Chris. We'll come back to that one. Yeah, we'll come back to that one because I want to talk about that near the end. We've got Deadman saying not a lot of space left. Are you going to frame it once you're done with it, Efren?
No, I'm not going to frame it.
Stick on a mannequin. Get like a Spider-Man or something, like a life-size thing, and stick
there's the inside of the vest. I can continue with that.
That kind of answers fuzzy question. Are you not tempted to start another vest to preserve that one now?
No.
You're going to do the inside instead. Yeah.
I'm always going to wear this at convention.
Has it ever been? I know it has. Sorry, I was about to say, has it ever rained when you're leaving? But you're in California, so never mind.
Somebody asked me if I would sell it to them. When they see me.
Really?
We never got to a price. I just said no.
That's too many memories, Efren.
Yeah, exactly. But what would be even a ballpark for that?
But the problem is, you would have to take it on face value. Do you know what I mean? You would have to.
It's sentimental that year.
Yeah, because you couldn't. Well, you could send it for authentication, I guess, but that would be a pretty penny in itself.
Yeah.
But that to me, Efren, is the kind of thing that you're never going to sell. That's going to be passed down to your daughter, surely. It's a sentimental piece.
This was Dad's. He went to. It'd be amazing.
Yeah. No Jock, so it's okay. Guesses. Are you a fan of Jock, Efren?
The artist?
Yeah, the artist.
No, the artist formerly known as Jock.
I've heard of him, but no, I mean,
he's not a proper comic artist. You know what I mean? No.
Just did like the most iconic Batman covers of all time.
Yeah. Okay, Efren, moving on, bud. Look at this. Look at it.
So,
very nice.
When I go to conventions, I just love taking pictures of scenes like this. And
those legs. First time I've seen your legs.
Yeah,
looking good, man.
So I run. So this is the one that I sent you, Peter. You probably know that sticker of Alex Ross.
Sticker.
So these are the villains that I just took. I just said, hey, I just love taking snapshots. That's more what I'm into when I go to conventions. And the one on the right is obviously the captain's chair in Enterprise. That was about a half an hour away too.
Well, it would be because it's Star Trek, Efren. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Star Wars ships you can probably get on straight away, but the Enterprise, that's an iconic proper spaceship.
Tell yourself that.
Yeah.
But look at the face. I'm loving the face, Efren. It's just tremendous. Have you just speaking of it? I don't want to. I know James's head will blow. Have you ever done a Star Trek convention?
No.
I've done
How would my head blow, Peter?
I don't remember the last time we've done over here.
I like the first movie.
I did a Star Trek convention when I was probably about 17.
Nerd.
And I got I've told the story lots of times. I don't know if I've told it online, but I got very drunk in a hotel bar with Dwight Schultz, who played Lieutenant Barclay on Star Trek, but he's also more famous for playing Murdoch in the A-Team, Howlin' Mad Murdoch. and he was absolutely superb. He bought me and my friend drinks all night long. It was a cracking night.
If anybody, I'm sorry, if anybody ever comes to San Diego, if you guys ever want to come visit, July and August are the best times to come to San Diego. It's not overly hot, you know, so you know that's the best time to come. You know, just
well, I mean, ideally when Comic-Con is on is when we would go to San Diego. We're gonna go.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
So this is the gas lamp district. You can see the convention center right across the street, and at night and even during the day, it's one big party. I mean, a lot of hotels, you know, are like taken over by Comic-Con. You know, they rent them out, so to speak.
Yeah.
All the restaurants are comic book themed. Even at night, there are parties going on left and right. It's perfect for the, you know, they call it the gas lamp district. And right across from there on the left of the screen is where the San Diego Padres play baseball. So it's very happening. Everybody's having a good time. When you go to San Diego Comic-Con, it's like a 4-day and 4-night party. It doesn't end, basically, you know. So everybody's just having a good time, and it gets super crowded. You can see they have to barricade the streets, but usually there's traffic going through there, and everything just comes to a standstill.
Just like a nerdy New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like a nerdy Mardi Gras. That sounds amazing.
Every time, Efren, you show pictures of San Diego Comic-Con or just San Diego in general, I think me and James, we need to get ourselves sorted and get over there, James. We really do. Andy's just saying there, he lost himself for hours eating breakfast at the Broken Yoke Cafe in San Diego.
Broken Yoke is a restaurant that, I mean, obviously it's like mostly, you know, they serve breakfast, but they have a contest. If there's a certain plate that you buy, I forgot what it consists of, but if you eat the whole thing in like in under an hour, they give it to you for free.
I mean, Peter, that sounds right up our alley, doesn't it? Absolutely. I'm a fan of my chicken fried steak and eggs with gravy. You know,
I mean, that feels like a challenge. I think we're going to do that.
Absolutely.
There's good old James Tinian.
Yeah, James Tinian. I had him sign one of my books. Nice guy to talk to, you know. And the line for him was crazy. They would cap it off, and he goes, "No more. We can't let any more people go." He goes, "How do we get in line?" He goes, "You just got to walk around, and once it opens up, I'm gonna let people get in line." And I just was fortunate enough to get in line to have him sign one of my Something's Killing the Children books. And he took the time to talk to me. Yeah. I know he had a lot of people there just waiting in line. I just told him, you know, what everybody was talking to him saying, "Hey, you know, I love your artwork. I mean, I love your artwork. I love your writing. I love Something's Killing the Children, your other books." And he took time to talk to me and look at me in the eye and just say hi. You know, which it means a lot to me, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Was that this year, Efren?
That was this year. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to get in line with him, and the line went pretty quick. The lines, considering he just talked to us for a couple minutes each.
Yeah,
he's looking good because he's obviously lost a bit of weight there. He's looking really good. Yeah.
Sorry, James, I was at Amazing Vegas Comic-Con last year, and he was supposed to be there. Canceled the day before, unfortunately. But I would have loved to have met him. But like, yeah, for comic book creators, there's never really that much of it. Like, I'd imagine Peter Momoko, Tinian would be a long queue, but like, you'd be surprised. Like Adi Granoff, there was nobody at the stable when I went up to meet him, and I was like,
really?
It's like a big name in comics here. Yeah. Same with Chris Claremont, obviously. Mad.
Yeah. You've got Batgirl there. How'd you?
This is like right behind me. You can see the Starbucks sign. This is the convention center. Before you go inside the actual convention center, just the hallway. And she was just there, and I said, "Hey, can I get a quick picture with you?" You know, I'm always asking them, you know, but I'm always respectful for them. I go, "Hey, thanks for your time." You know,
you asked for a picture with you, or you asked for a picture with her?
I asked for a picture with her.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
The other way around. I was like, "You're Passpoint Comics." Like,
can I just take a picture with you? And actually, about 3 or 4 people, you know, I give away comic books during Comic-Con.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah, you do.
And 3 or 4 people actually came up to me and said, "Hey, are you Passpoint Comics?" I go, "Yes, I am," and I gave them some comic books. You know, so.
Fantastic. And then your next image here is stunning. Look at that.
This is the Peach Momoko that she signed my vest. The gentleman on the back with the glasses, he's the owner of Trinity Comics.
Okay, right.
I met him before he got really, you know, or bigger, I should say. It was just him, basically. His name is Matt. He would just be hustling with a suitcase and getting books signed for people. And the way his company has grown throughout the years, it's amazing the hard work that he's put in for that. So this is the Peach Momoko. You know, after she signed my books, I asked her, if she can sign my vest. And it took a while because, you know, it was first the books, and then I had to come back for the first day. She would just be signing books.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the day she would be signing books and whatever you want her to sign. So it took a while for me to get my vest signed. She didn't say anything to me, so I don't think she can speak English too well, you know, but she was she just liked my vest, and she did a quick little doodle on there. I went, wow. I just asked her to sign it, and she did the remark on there, you know, on her own. So that was cool, you know. I mean,
so on the first day, if I had like a poster of her art, I couldn't go up and get that signed.
Not the first day. The first day was just
crazy
for her to sign.
What difference does that make to her?
I don't know. That's just the rules they set down. I think it's because he had exclusive books, and he just wanted to give them, you know, first come, first serve for those people.
Yeah.
And then after that, you would sign anything, you know, and it was free. It didn't cost anything.
How old is Peach Momoko? Because she's a lot younger looking than I was.
She's probably in her 30s, I would say. You know, her the man she was with, I guess it was her handler. He would speak, you know, say thank you for coming and stuff like that. You know, but she didn't say much at all. You know,
it's nice to see her smiling and having a good time, because I know she had a horrible con experience the year before, didn't she?
Yeah. At New York Comic Con, I heard it was pretty bad. She had to hide underneath the table, but she was just overwhelmed. And for this one, even she, you know, admitted that it was a lot nicer, you know, but Trinity wasn't in charge of the one in New York. So she's going to be in New York Comic Con again this year to see how it goes, you know.
Yeah.
Would be very intimidating, I'm sure, if you're not used to. You never think about their experience, do you? Like what it's like being on that side of the table and having a queue a mile long of people to come, and it would be overwhelming.
They had to cap off the lines for her too, you know, because it got quick.
I would say
incredibly popular, isn't she?
One thing that was my advantage for this year, since I did a panel again for Comic-Con, they give me a professional pass that said professional on there, and there's a separate line to get into the convention center with professionals, and it saved me a lot of time this year. I must admit, you know, I would still have to get in line like anybody else, but the lines weren't as long as every other else line, so to speak.
I mean, I tell you, I did for the Sunday for the convention. I had a diamond pass, and it was like another level.
So James, just for people who aren't used to going to cons, what is a diamond pass? What does that entail?
So it's it's a fast pass, VIP pass, basically. Just it's nothing to do with panels, just for guests. So if you have several actors to get, big actors particularly, you're taking straight. So we literally went up. I know, like I said earlier, the guys were a bit like unwelcoming or whatever, but like. You go up to them, they just take you and plop you at the front of the queue. So like there's like a 3-hour queue, and so like boom, here you are. And I'm like, man, I would have paid £1,000 for this at Liverpool, like on the day, you know, like to not have to go through that. So yeah. And people say like once you go diamond, you never go back, and that might very much be
I mean, it's a bit like, you know, when you go to Disneyland, Florida, and places like that, it's the pleasure of a fast pass just makes it an entirely different experience. Entirely different experience. Coming back to Chris's question from earlier, then, guys, have you ever had anybody jumping ahead of you in queues, or have you seen queue jumping going on?
Yeah, me with a diamond pass. Because they literally just plop you. Like I remember at Liverpool, it was a separate, I think, queue. So you weren't like literally just shoved in front of the people at the front of the queue.
People boo you as you're walking past.
Well, yeah, I felt a bit uncomfortable with that, you know. So like, but no, you know, people are quite like organized. I think here, you know, nerds in general are kind of for the most
well behaved over here,
polite, well behaved. Yeah, so I never really.
What about in the States, Efren? What is it like for you guys?
Yeah, that's a big problem for San Diego Comic-Con, so to speak, because there's this one. Everybody tries to get into Hall H, especially on Saturday, except for this year. Hall H is when all the actors, when Hollywood invades Comic-Con, they show all the previews from Marvel, DC, you know, like all The Walking Dead was a big thing for the longest time. So you would wait the day before. So the big, you know, Saturday where everybody was trying to get into it. On Friday, and I've done it a couple of times, there would be 2 of us or 3 of us would stay there for about 3 hours waiting in line. Then we would leave. Then some of our friends would come by, and then they would do their turn. And this just rotated basically for 24 hours. At night, they give away a badge or a band to get in, and that's when everybody comes back. So you could be just waiting 2 or 3 people, but you have like 10 to 15 people that jump the line, so to speak. But they weren't waiting there all day. You know, we were taking.
I don't know if people are saving spots,
jumping the line.
Yeah,
but at other times at conventions, I've been to San Diego Comic-Con and people jump the line all the time. You know, I don't even sweat it anymore. I go, what am I going to do? Get into a big fight over it?
Yeah.
Do I like it? No, but it just happens all the time.
Yeah, I take that system over, like, because probably the most disappointing thing for me with Celebration was how the panels were handled, where it was lotteries, and I had heard of people who had like got 4 panels, and we got 0 in-person ones. We had like a streamed panel room thing, which was still a great experience, but like I think your entry ticket should guarantee you 1 panel. A random panel even be randomly allocated, just so that everybody gets to experience that. You know, like the way they handled it was strange, but like I would have queued for hours for some of them.
You're right.
Easily.
You're right, James. Chris, I'm the same as you, Chris. I'm a quiet seether. I'm a glarer. I'll kind of glare at them and stuff, but I don't like fuss. I don't like a hassle.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, guys. My convention experience. I've got this video coming out, so it was perfectly timed, James, when you mentioned this.
Absolutely.
I've got I've started doing some moan about videos. I've got moan about Comic Cons, where I talk about my views really on the state of current Comic Cons, and it'll not surprise you to hear that I yearn for the earlier experiences I used to have when I used to go to an old kind of musky church hall and it was full of people selling comics and things. I'm not as into the bigger events now. That said, that's changed over the last probably 10 years, particularly once my kids kind of got into the mindset of coming to cons. So this is at Birmingham Comic Con, good few years back, and that's been a bit of a new kind of pleasure of mine, I guess, going with the Chillblains to some of the bigger cons, but then to some of the local cons as well. So this is Jessica when she was much younger, at a local event. So that really changed how I viewed Comic Cons, I guess you'd say, in terms of I wasn't necessarily going just for the hunt anymore. Done a lot of cons over the last couple of years since joining YouTube. Love of Horror, which was very cool.
One of my favorites.
Star Wars Celebration, which was superb. The local cons, Dalton Comic Con more recently, where I met Chris Bell, really good fun. And this one down the bottom here was literally just a local little village con organized by some guys on Facebook, and it was brilliant because it was proper comics and things. So they're kind of the more recent events I've been to. Really enjoyed For the Love of Horror, as we've just mentioned, and I think probably because that was my first experience of going in cosplay. Never done cosplay before, so that's me in the top hat, and that was just an absolute revelation. I've never done and never wanted to do cosplay, but I kind of thought I'd give it a go for this one, and it was a bizarre experience having people stop you and ask to have the photo taken with you and things like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and it's definitely something I will be going back to do in the future, I think. I've talked about it a lot, but Thought Bubble is now one of my must-go-to events of the year. It's a tremendous convention. You meet some amazing people. I got a lot of sketches done. That's kind of something Efren's set us on the way with, getting sketches. But I just love it, and it's so accessible and so reasonable. You've got, obviously, Ian there and our friend Alex, both of who I met at Thought Bubble, but have now come on and done shows with her on YouTube, which is amazing. Thought Bubble, you do panels as well. So that was a great panel with Scott Snyder. Well, you video linked in Scott Snyder talking about the process of making comic books and horror comics and things. And James Tinian spoke on one of those as well. So him talking about his process in terms of writing a horror comic and things, which was, again, phenomenal. So that's probably the kind of convention I go for more than the actual meeting of celebrities and guests. That said, I did enjoy the conventions that the bigger ones where there were a lot of guests and things, but it'll come as no surprise to you guys. You know I'm soft as shit. My probably main enjoyment from cons these days is the social element. So this is Thought Bubble last year. Met up with all the guys who I'd worked with on it's not working, it's fun, who I've done stuff with on good old YouTube. So we've got, some of the guys from the Nerd Hood there. We've obviously got Andy and other characters. It was just lovely to actually meet people and realize that they're actually decent people, and have a bit of a laugh and a bit of fun with them. I seem to have become a bit of obsessed with ice cream. So this is our new thing.
Well, tradition now, yeah.
This has become a tradition, which I quite like as well. That, you know, every con we go to, we'll have to have a photo of we're having an ice cream, which I love. I cannot, you know, talk about my con experience over the last few years without talking as well about the good friends and the social element, the drinks and the fun afterwards, which has absolutely changed my life. So I love that. And that's probably why I go to cons now more than, I mean, we've talked, me and James have talked before about decent cons and events and stuff like that, and why we go to them. At this stage in my life, I'm less interested about who's actually going to be at the con in terms of guests and displays and artists and writers. And it's more about who's going to be there that we're going to have a drink with and a bit chat. So, for example, Liverpool, I have absolutely no interest in speaking or seeing any of the published guests. I know James is, but I've got no interest in that really. I've got little interest in the actual vendors because we went last year and it was okay, it was good, but there's not a big drive there. What I'm more interested in is the fact that me and James are going to hopefully see Andy there. We're going to see Jason Parker and a whole host of other people at MJ Comics, you know, the full shebang. So that's the drive these days, I think, for me, for conventions more than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything you want to summarize on before we move off the convention scene?
I completely Comic-Con post Comic-Con blues are only a recent, like, my experience for the most part beforehand, where it was I'd go in often quite late on the day, like on a Sunday. I'll go at 4, leave at like 5:30, go in, get my autograph, have a quick mosey around and leave. But lately, like, spending the day, because it's now tied to seeing your friends, like me and you know, going together, or like, you know, just the last one going with my, you know, girlfriend's family. Yeah. Like when we get back, I'm just kind of sad it's over, and it's like, you know, yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely there with you. You know, it's a social element to it now that I didn't really have before that much. You know,
do you have that with the American guys, Efren? Do you meet up with the? Because I know Hoodrat and you do a few cons and things together.
Well, before years past, when I first went to Comic-Con, it was just me and my cousin. I showed you that picture when he was like about 13 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
There was like about a 10-year gap where it was just me, but within the last 10 years, my family would come, and it's become a big social event, like a big that we do every year. And when they leave, yeah, I felt like, God dang it, you know, everybody's gone now. But in the last 2 years with Ian Hoodrat and a lot of my other friends that I've met through social media, it's kind of rejuvenated me as far as having fun at Comic-Cons. But I was getting kind of burnt out for a while, you know, going year after year. But meeting new friends within the last 2 years, like meeting you guys, has rejuvenated me, doing more fun things, you know, on YouTube has made it more fun and more interesting. Same thing, the people that I've met because of social media, a lot of them live in the San Diego area, you know, hanging out with them during Comic-Cons has made it more fun and more fresh. But I was going to say, if you want to see a video on how to cut lines in a queue, go to Peter's video when I interviewed Chris Claremont, how I cut the line in front of everybody.
You do it very frequently. That didn't come up when we talked about that for a minute.
But you do it with such style and grace, Efren. That's the thing. And I have to say, they always seem very happy to see you. They always seem, I mean, what do you call him? Sam, Flash Gordon, was positively excited to talk to you. So, you know,
can't wait for someone to tell him off, though, like to do it.
But Chris Claremont one, I didn't even know he used to live in the UK. He was so happy to see you guys and just say hello.
Very nice.
Put a link to that video, Peter, afterwards. You know, everybody that had to cut lines professionally without getting your ass kicked, I did it that day.
It was great fun. Right, chaps, we've got a couple more questions, but I'm not going to do them all because we're nearly at an hour and a half here. One of the questions we've been asked was, what's the worst bit of YouTube? But I think we'll keep it positive tonight and we'll not talk about that one. Maybe do that one another time. We've got Jack. Nice to see you, Mr. Jack. Thank you very much for joining. I hope you had a lovely birthday. I know it was your birthday at the weekend. Andy is just saying, meeting new people at cons means more to me than most will know. Each is a tiny victory against my anxiety. Andy, absolutely, bud. Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean, my friend. So instead, we'll go with let's have a look. Looking at the questions. What is your favorite item in your collection? What's the one piece, if your house was on fire, you would grab and run with?
Well,
I'll go first while he's thinking.
Go first, yeah.
For me, it would probably have to be my X-Men one, I think. I think I would grab my X-Men one, but I'd probably try and grab my Thor as well. But probably my X-Men one's one of my most prized possessions, because it's a book that I just absolutely never thought I would own. I've got a lot of items that are more emotional to us, I guess. But I think it would have to be the X-Men one that I would grab. I'm loving that James is kind of looking around his room here.
I'm just like, I've posters and I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
I suppose my sideshow Uncharted 4 statue, I'm in awe at it every time I look at it. So like that's one that really makes me happy. But like, yeah, I want to pick an emotional one, but like I have something. I suppose like I have the first signature I got from Sean James. So that's oh, actually, sorry, I have a Through the Valley, like my favorite song, Efren, from my favorite musician. I have a handwritten out by him. Like he sold them. Like so like that's a really amazing one for me. Like, you know, I think that's something a lot of people don't like. Almost everybody doesn't get to have, you know. So like I love that.
I've got a different one now as well. Then, so just while Stefan's thinking there, I think I would probably go for and it sounds pathetic, I know, but this whole YouTube thing has been fun, as you know, for me. And probably the biggest surprise. My wife doesn't watch any of my YouTube videos. She kind of fakes an interest. Do you know what I mean?
Does she subscribe to your channel at least?
I don't think so, Efren. I don't think so, mate. But she doesn't. You know, she doesn't watch or anything like that. And then last Christmas, she absolutely, without any conversation or anything like that, bought us my original Triple G top.
Yeah.
Totally out of the blue, which was an absolute surprise. So that's quite got a bit of emotional value to it. So yeah, I'll probably grab that as well. Yeah. How about you, Efren?
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna pick a comic book. You know, all the comic books that I have, I'm glad that I have them, but I'm not like emotionally tied to them. There's this one picture of my daughter and myself at Comic-Con, and we're just laughing. It's just, to me, it's very special to me. We're on the steps of Comic-Con and we're just laughing, and just the joyfulness in ourselves at that one moment in time. I think I would grab that first. You know, I mean, comic books, I know I have some expensive comic books, but to me, that picture is very special to me.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be the jacket.
Right.
Yeah. No. I'd be wearing the jacket. So
You'd be wearing the jacket. He doesn't take it off. Yeah.
I lie to you guys. I wear it all the time.
Tremendous. Just a quick question here from Arista Jack. I have a quick question. What has been your most valuable comic book? That's a great question, mate. So mine is without doubt my X-Men one. That's the most money I think I've ever paid on a single item that's not like a car or a house or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's public knowledge. I've done a video about it. So I paid £5,000 for that, which is a hell of a lot of money for a bit of paper. And my wife was extremely kind in the discussions we had about buying that. Yeah. So yeah, for me, definitely my X-Men one. How about yourself, James?
I don't really have any major big keys. My Last of Us, I paid 200, and that'd be like 12 to 1500 if it's a 9.8, which I'll find out soon. Graded, I sent off a Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse, a 1 in 10 variant. There's only like 3,000 of them, and it's apparently 9.8s are really rare on it, so that's worth like 450. So that was a big win in terms of getting it for cover price and sending it off, you know. So yeah, I like that one.
Very cool, very nice. How about yourself, Efren?
That's an easy one. As far as most expensive is my AF-15. I mean, I paid a lot of money for that one, man. if I had to pick one comic book that I had to grab, it would be that one. You know, that one, and then the Daredevil one. You know, then the Fantastic Four, and then the X-Men, and then the Avengers. I have so many.
Oh, don't brag, Efren. Don't brag. Okay? Now I'm rooting for the fire. All right.
Efren would just be running backwards and forwards into the house of hard tools.
No, that
AF-15
behind me. You know,
God,
No, it would be
Could you
the
imagine?
AF-15. I would grab that one first.
I mean, I did say that was going to be the last question, but we have got another question. That's a kind of a technical question which someone sent in. Whilst we're summing up, guys, if anybody does have any last-minute questions they want to throw in the chat for what to talk about, we'll go for a few more minutes. So please do. But just someone did actually ask, how do we insure our collections? So just in relation to what we've talked about there. So with me, it's on just my standard household insurance.
You have insurance for your collection?
Well, so you've got household insurance, and then you itemize it. But then for any item, I can't remember what the figure is, but say £1,000. For any item over £1,000, you've got to kind of individually name it and say how much it's worth. So I have to go through that process every year. So if I've got anything that's over £1,000, I kind of have to put it down and say, this is how much it cost. This is the value and stuff like that. But I don't know how. I've never had to test it, obviously, so I don't know how easy because insurance companies are renowned for being pains in the arses, aren't they? And for trying to challenge you. So I'm not sure how it would work in reality. How about yourself, Ephraim? Because I mean, insurance, does that work the same over in America for you guys?
I talked to my insurance company for my regular house insurance, and I told them I have some comic books, and they put a certain amount on it, which wasn't near what they're really worth. About a year ago, I took out a separate insurance just for my comic books. But after the year was gone, I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I go, you know what? Knock on wood, nothing will ever happen. Yeah. You know, if it does, that's life, you know, and
living life on the edge, Ephraim.
I go, what the hell, man? I go, I don't know.
There's a fire, it's gone. Nothing left.
I can say that I owned it, you know, and I have memories of it, and I have pictures of it on YouTube. So,
I mean, serious question, Ephraim. And obviously, this sounds terrible because if there's any thieves out there, we're setting them up. Some collectors who've got big volumes of books and nice books, all that I've seen on Rob Fatstack's show, have their collections in different areas, so they don't keep them all in their one kind of location. Do you have that? Do you have kind of like storage areas and things, or is it all central?
You mean besides my house?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. I'm the same. All of my stuff's in.
What's your address, Ephraim?
Yeah. Oh, you know my address. I do.
It's on a box. Yeah, I do know.
Yes.
How about you, James? How about you? Is any of your stuff insured, or is it in your household insurance?
No. Potentially, but I live with my parents still, so if they have a household insurance and that covers it. But I've not itemized anything or declared. I don't know if I have really anything that's like nerdy wise that's worth over 1,000.
I think
like
it's about
potentially like the Last of Us book could be if it's in line 8 or whatever. But
your watch, you've got a very limited watch as well, haven't you? Worth checking the price.
That was 500 when I bought it, so I don't know what it's worth now.
Maybe worth checking, mate.
Potentially.
Arista Jack just saying that he nearly gasped when he said $5,000 for a comic, mate. Ephraim's got an AF-15. That's considerably more than that.
I think I've told you guys, and after the video, how much I paid for them in the past. You know, I've told you guys it's a lot, tens of thousands. Let me put it that way, okay?
Yeah. It's not a cheap book. A cheap book. Question for Ephraim: as a bald man, follically challenged individual himself. What's your weekly hair routine?
Nah, I don't know. I just let it grow, man. I just use Head and Shoulders and dandruff, and I've been fortunate. And, you know, my dad was bald, basically, you know, so I think it skips a generation. And I just, you know.
I mean, this is a fantastic question, Andy, and it's a kind of a sideways move because I appreciate you've asked Ephraim, but you wouldn't believe the excitement that ensued when we went to, I believe it was Star Wars Celebration. And James had stayed at my house the night before and traveled down.
Let it go, man.
And it was
Liverpool, by the way.
Was it Liverpool? He realized he'd left his what was it called?
Renee's Shea Souffle from Lush. It's my hair bomb. It's like my hair gel, basically. But like what was so stressful is like because I wanted to run to a shop and get hair gel because I had a photo op, and my hair my hair is like I don't know how long it was at the time, but it goes puffy and curly and terrible, and I just wanted to not deal with that, you know. So
what was it called again, bud?
Renee's Shea Souffle, I believe. It's like a vanilla putty.
He was literally running around the hotel room. I've lost my souffle. I've lost my souffle.
Where's my souffle? No, I didn't. I said my hair bomb. And then Lauren messaged you back with a photo of it. Is this it? And then you took the piss out of the name of it. What is this, cack? That's my hair balm.
Take a picture of yourself without the hair balm. I want to see the difference.
I'm not wearing it today because I got my hair cut really recently, so it's short,
okay.
so it's not too bad. But like at the time, I think my hair was like long enough where it would have been. I had to take Simon's advice and put hand wash. I had to run hand wash through my hand soap through my hair to like stick it down, basically, like for my photo.
It's
I don't know why I'm taking hair advice from Simon anyway.
I've let my hair grow for over a year now. So
a year is it?
Yeah, it's been over a year.
Very majestic, man. I like it. It's like a mane.
Yeah. I have to every now and then. If you see me like this, it's obviously I put my hair in a ponytail. So every now and then, when I take showers afterwards, my hair is like, oh my god, it's a hassle for me trying to clean it. I mean, just trying to dry it. It's like everywhere. I was like, oh my god.
It's very impressive, Efren. Fuzzy's got another question for Efren. Is Efren's first language Spanish? If so, does he dream in English or Spanish?
My first language is English. My parents taught me how to speak Spanish, and it doesn't happen often, but every now and then I have like a how do you say? You could hear my voice come out every now and then. And I say, "What's going on, Comic Book Familia? Yo puedo hablar español cuando quiero. Si quieres puedo hablar ya y no hacer que estamos hablando." Everyone's learning Spanish, so it's just natural for me. Speaking Spanish, I understand it, but no, I always dream in English. So.
Super. Okay, guys, listen, this has been great. I've got questions left, but I think we're pushing it for time now a bit. So I think this has been great fun. So we'll make this a regular thing. We'll get people to send in questions, chat in the comment. There'll be some superb topics like tonight. We'll talk fish and chips, mushy peas, hair products, whatever people want to talk about, we will talk about. Massive Christ, Fuzzy. That was a serious question. My next door neighbor speaks English but dreams in Gaelic.
Of course.
Wow, interesting stuff. Listen, thank you to you guys. As ever, I always love spending time with you. And thank you to everybody in the chat. You guys have been jumping tonight. It's been superb. 20-odd people watching, which I didn't expect. So thank you. I really do appreciate that. Just to mention, I know I'm banging on about this, but myself, Von Hoot and Rob Fatstacks have all been nominated for some of the Comic Book Community Awards. Please do check out that website and vote if you wish. It would be very nice to have some support. So please do check that out. Tomorrow night, this is going to be fun. Efren, I don't think I've asked if you're on this. I'm just kind of assuming you are. If you are, great. This is our live show tomorrow night, where we're going to do a bit of a quick canter through all of the superhero movies that have been released so far this year. Just talk a little bit about them, what we thought about them, whether we enjoyed them, didn't enjoy them. Have a little look at the kind of the ratings that they've come out with from Rotten Tomatoes and things like that. And then we're going to talk about what's coming up at the end of the year. So what movies are coming out at the end of the year and what we're excited about. So that should be an interesting chat. Tuesday night over on JP Venom's channel, we've got that comic book review show where we're looking at Crossover. I'm not sure if I'm on this week. I may have to be at a parents' evening. But if I'm not on, you'll have the usual crowd. Efren, James, Luke, Simon, all that lot. And obviously James Comic Deal. If I can jump on, I will. But that should be great fun. So I haven't read the book yet. You guys managed to get into it yet?
I've read the first 4 issues and I like it more than I thought I would. And I read it beforehand. I go, this is pretty good storyline so far.
Yeah, I'm looking for. I'm going to read it anyway, just in case I can jump on at the end or whatever on Tuesday night. But yeah, you've not read it yet, James. It's on your list.
No, yeah, it's one I've been meaning to for a while. I think when I got into comics, it was like a big deal. This one, so yeah, but it's been on my list for a while. So yeah, I'll really look forward to it.
Simon's not on, in which case, JP, I probably will jump on. That's fuzzy. In which case, I will try and jump on, mate. Also, actually, just mentioning, getting some stick tonight.
All right.
Just mentioning, Simon is also in the planning stages of doing a live show of his own over on Comic Lad Simon's channel, and that's going to be a review of One Piece. Which I've said I'll jump on with them. So yeah, so looking forward to that. Fuzzy giving constructive criticism. This started great, but thanks, Fuzzy. Thanks.
Keep that in mind for next week.
Thanks, really good. And that is your whack. Thank you so much. Like I say, guys, thank you for everybody that's watched. It's been great fun, and thank you to Efren and James as ever. You guys are the best. Okay, with that, we'll call it a night. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.